Hello everyone, welcome back. Today the topic of discussion is reading comprehension, especially for the CUET exam. Tracking this session is crucial for securing admission in your desired university. So let's explore some strategies and practice material. So the first thing I want to focus on is the tips for attempting reading comprehension. So these are the tips that I want to focus on. So let's see that. Keep a track of timeline and statistics. If you notice that the passage is talking about different time periods, or if you see a lot of statistics or numbers mentioned in the passage, you will most likely be questioned on these stuff. Moving on to the next strategy is don't use outside knowledge or your opinion or common sense while approaching RC questions. So you have to approach passage very objectively. So you should never make use of any outside information or common sense while approaching RC questions. So moving on to the next step. Read the questions carefully. Make sure you read all the questions without leaving any lines out. Pay attention to the questions too. It's equally important to pay attention to the questions. Moving on to read all the answer choices. So when you want to mark one particular answer choice, make sure you read all the answer choice before marking your final answer. Because it is possible that there is another answer choice that answers the question even better than the one you picked as the answer initially. So you have to focus on other options too. Moving on to the fifth tip. Try to eliminate some options. In case you aren't able to arrive at the answer to a question, at least you try to narrow down your choice by eliminating some options which you know are definitely correct. Okay, so it's very unlikely that you will be confused amongst 4 to 5 options. Usually you will be able to eliminate 2 to 3 options, after which even if you make a blind guess, you have a 50% chance of selecting the correct answer. So that is what I would recommend to you. So try to eliminate some options before marking your correct options. So moving on to the next slide. Yeah. Find out the main, primary, and secondary topic of discussion. So it's important to focus on these stuff because there is a lot of possibilities that you might be questioned on these stuff. Primary purpose, main topic, and secondary topic of discussion is very much important to find out. Once you read the entire paragraph or the passage that's been given, you have to find the main, primary, secondary, and tone of the author too. So make sure you find all these up and it will be easy for you to deal with the questions. Moving on to eliminate the options if it has extreme words like all these words like all, always, everything, none. So this particular tip is applicable only if the author didn't use all these words. If the author himself uses all these words like all, always, everything, none, then you can eliminate this tip. And if he doesn't use these kinds of extreme words, then you can close your eyes and remove that option. Okay, moving on to the last tip. Pay attention to words like however, although, but, though, because the author's point of view is going to shift from one particular viewpoint to the other one. So you have to focus on these words. Moving on to the next slide. Yes, so here comes the passage. What I would recommend you to do is pause this video, read the entire passage without skimming. Okay, so without skimming, read the passage entirely and then analyze everything. And then let's move on to the questions now. So the first question here is match the following. Basically, it's like match the following. We have to match it up and let's deal with this. Yeah, the boy was crying. The list one here is the boy was crying. And we have to find out why the boy, what's the reason behind the crying boy here. Okay, so the boy was crying because he was hungry. Let's see the passage. So here in the first thing itself, he says he was hungry. See here, one day the boy sat leaning against. One day the boy sat leaning against the trunk of the tree crying. So he was crying. For what? He was crying because he was hungry. So we got that. Okay. So the answer is here to here. So the only option we have here for A country is option B. Let's consider the second option. The young, oh sorry, okay. So the young man was anxious. Why was he anxious? Let's see that. He was eat my fruit. He said, okay. One day he sat under the tree with an anxious look. So he was anxious. Why was this? I am going to marry and I want a house to live. The reason for his anxious is he wants to get married and he wants a house to live. So the answer here is here. Want to marry and wanted a house of his own. So the only option that best fit in here would be B. So we can eliminate all the other options because it doesn't suit well. Yeah. So let's move on to the next slide. How were the tree and the little boy related to each other? Select the correct option. So we have to select from this option and let's find out. Let's consider every options. They were close contenders in their race to survive. This is not mentioned in the passage. In fact, the tree seems to prioritize the boy's need over its own, right? So this is not going to be the right fit. Let's move on to option C. Okay. So they were colleagues as they worked together. This is the first option that I would eliminate because there is no mentioning of them working together. Yeah. So the relationship is clearly one of a friendship. So we can eliminate C. Moving on to D. They were competitors in their need to fulfill their own needs. This particular sentence contradicts the passage, right? Which shows the tree sacrificing its own needs for the boy's happiness and well-being, right? So this is exactly opposite idea. So we can eliminate option D as well. So moving on to B now. So they were very close friends due to their very long association. Best friends, right? So the passage clearly describes a strong and enduring friendship between the tree and the boy. They play together, they trust each other and help each other throughout their life, right? So this option best suits, right? And moving on to the option, the right answer would be B. Moving on to the next question. The stump of this unselfish tree burned in the fire, softly humming a tune. Read the passage and answer the following question. Select the right option from the given options. We have to select the right option. So after reading this particular line, what do you infer out of it? Okay. So the passage suggests that the tree was accepting its fate calmly and without complying, right? Even in its final moment, it was focusing on providing warmth and comfort to the old man, showcasing its selfless nature and prioritizing his needs over its own. So that is the selfless nature of the tree. Okay, so this is what we get out of that particular sentence. Let's consider the options. Okay, so the first option is every tree sings when it's burnt. See, every is a extreme word. Every is an extreme word, right? So we can eliminate that option because it's not been mentioned by the author himself. So we can eliminate this option because it has an extreme word here. Moving on to option B. The selfless tree felt no pain in its acute suffering while dying, caring for others. Yes, best suits, right? So let's consider the other options too before jumping on to the conclusion. So the C option, the frail and wonderful tree tried to forget its pain by humming. When the humming could be considered as a coping mechanism, the passage emphasizes the tree's selfless and lack of pain, not its attempt to forget it. So this doesn't support the passage at all. So we can eliminate option C as well. Moving on to the next option. The tree was a fool and was humming as it did not recognize that it was dying. So this is not supported by the passage itself. The tree's action and humming suggested a deeper understanding of its situation and a willingness to sacrifice itself. Basically, its selfless nature. Okay, so it doesn't even make any sense. Okay, so the best option here would be option B. So option B best captures the essence of the passage, highlights the tree's selfless nature and its acceptance of its fate. So this is the best option. So let's mark the answer. Moving on to the fourth question. How would you find the relationship that the story illustrates? Select the correct answer. So, I want you guys to answer the fourth question. Comment your answers below. I will check it out. Okay, guys, that's all for today. And comment your answers below. And thank you for watching. I hope you found this video informative and helpful. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below and I'll check it out.